We are back, fans, live with the post-Mania hangover edition of Ryder's Rasslin Review, the only show that you can get the unedited, unfiltered, shoot, if you will, comments from the big bad wolf himself, Mr. Ryder. My name is Jack Kilby, Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling. Morris is off tonight. He's doing his man of the people duties. He's a tireless lad, but we thought that it would be very germane at this point after Mania, and a lot of the stories had some time to percolate and digest, to give our take on those as well as the big stories of the week. Mr. Ryder, how are you doing this afternoon, wherever you are in that part of the world, sir?
I am wonderful. Thank you for asking, my Canadian friend. I don't know if I have a hangover from WrestleMania. It made me more sick to my stomach.
Yeah,
hangover would be the word.
Let's talk about.
I usually enjoy the night before a hangover.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of enjoyment there, and I think as now we're sitting some time out from night one and night two, the outrageousness of the ticket prices and all the extra add-ons, I think is causing a lot of fans to balk, especially with night two not involving The Rock. Let's start with that and get your take on the notable absence of the final boss.
They could not have killed off John Cena's heel turn any worse than they did with this. The whole point of it was for him and Rock and to be a team, right? And he was supposed to sell his soul. Well, what was the point of that? What was the point of this with The Rock? What was the point of any of it? And now Cena's out there just telling the fans he hates them. It doesn't make I don't think it's a good look for John Cena at this point. And now they're cheering John Cena because Cody Rhodes was such a dud at WrestleMania. This time I felt bad for Cody Rhodes. Maybe his heart wasn't into it, but not a good look, man. If you're gonna promise The Rock, deliver The Rock, especially after last year's.
Yes,
last year's was one of the best 10 minutes of WrestleMania in history. The last 10 minutes of that. This one, I think people were leaving when Travis Scott came out.
Yes, and apparently waiting until the executive producer credit showed at the end on the big screen to really fully believe that he wasn't coming. And did you see the online documentation that they actually printed Rock t-shirts that said, finally, The Rock has come back to Vegas? A lot of people are calling this a bait and switch, an old school bait and switch.
I don't know what happened. Listen, when you're in the movie business, sometimes things can happen that will pull you off a card. Card subject to change. It always is. But I don't think that's what happened. I think Rock was set to do it. And I think Hunter and him probably got into it. It seems like they did. I think that's take over the show, and maybe Hunter's done that. Whoever did it, it was not good for the fans, and it wasn't. Travis Scott should not be on TV in any capacity.
Oh, I think he did. I mean, in addition to his initial involvement, I think in Mania, he did more harm than good, especially since everybody was expecting The Rock to come out. And hey, let's tell it like it is. Is Triple H making a mistake using these, for lack of a better term, pop culture folks to generate interest? I know he's supposedly a very popular hip hop artist, but look at the guy. He's 130 pounds soaking wet and wearing boots. He does not, I believe, do anything to enhance the product. And I think him being involved in Mania was even worse.
I'm going to go a step further. All right. If I'm backstage and I don't give a shit who the fuck it is, Travis Scott, Jay-Z walks by me holding the hardcore title, I'm going to slap the fuck out of him. Who the fuck does he think he is walking around with a title? He weighs, I fucking crap bigger than that motherfucker. You guys walking around with a hardcore title. Crash Holly would have eaten that motherfucker's lunch if he saw it. God rest his soul. It's disgraceful. Yep. And the fact they allowed him out on TV holding it. It was disrespectful to everybody in the building. And I love Triple H, but I think it's time for somebody's got to change. They all knocked Vince McMahon, but you know what? That wouldn't happen under Vince.
No, and quite a few people, including Alvarez and Meltzer, commented on that aspect to it. But what about this information, if you will, or this speculation that Triple H is being set up here by The Rock? It's kind of a receipt, if you will, for the way that he and the Toy Boy there treated him early on in his career, and they're they let him go whole hog with the nauseating hour plus Hall of Fame speech, and he was all over that broadcast. I don't know if you saw Bret Hart's reaction.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that was classic. But what do you make of this speculation that The Rock intentionally sabotaged him, and they want to try and force him out as a scapegoat in the new entity's hierarchy?
I don't think so. I don't think Rock is a guy like that. He would do what's best for business, what's best for the product. I don't think he would try and hurt WWE in any way. It wouldn't benefit him. He can't be there full time. So what's he going to do? Triple H leaves, then what? Who takes over? Stephanie? No. She leaves too. And no one else can take those reins. Maybe Shawn Michaels, maybe.
Shawn, yeah, they were kind of hinting at that he'd get the bump up to from NXT, but it seems to me that the way, especially when you saw the interviews after WrestleMania with The Rock, that his explanation made no sense. That he basically started the whole storyline with the Soul and then decided, you don't need me anymore. Something is amiss there. I don't think we know exactly what.
The end of the final boss, right?
Yes.
It didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense. And if that was the plan, it's kind of like when Bret Hart, they were afraid he was going to leave with the title to WCW. Mm-hmm. So they switched the belt one way or another. They should have switched the heat. They should have gone a different direction. I think it's shit I'll ever seen it is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep seeing it exactly the same. Nothing new. Just tell me he hates the fans. And The Rock will come out, he'll get a big boo, we'll sell a bunch of shirts. Cena's not selling more shirts or any less.
That's getting old very, very, very fast. We've got a fan who said Triple H has the pencil in WrestleMania 42 match for World Heavyweight Championship with Seth Rollins versus Sami Zayn after Raw this Monday. Really? Oh my!
I appreciate Acer's thoughts on that, but there's zero chance of that happening.
Mm. Well, when you consider what do you make of the one of the matches that I think kind of flew under the radar was that Gunther versus Uso match coming out first. It seemed to be somewhat unprecedented that the world title on a particular brand, and say what you will about multiple world titles, that it came out first. Did you saw that match? What did you think of it? And then Uso's intoxication at the scrum after.
I thought his intoxication was hilarious. But at WrestleMania, you either want to be first or last. No one remembers the middle. No one gives a shit. The first match sets the tempo. The last match closes the show. I think Cena and Cody was the wrong match to go on last. It would have been better the other way around. But I don't think Gunther's ever had a bad match. Mm-hmm. Gunther is a workhorse. I think he is the future of that company. Jey Uso, I got no heat with Jey Uso. I like Jey Uso, but let's face it, it's the same super kick and it's a bad one. And look how bad that super kick was the other night to freaking YouTuber. Yes. He needs to go back and watch Shawn Michaels' super kick and start doing an actual super kick, because this bent knee, cheesy looking, it looks like shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the world champion. They better start laying stuff in because that belt will be back around Gunther's waist in a month if he doesn't start working like a fucking beast.
Yeah, I think a lot of his appeal is the audience participation there with the Yeet, but yeah, his work certainly, as you say, doesn't look the most snug. And before we leave this this particular topic, some of the commentators, Vince Russo and Jonathan Coachman, have a good podcast where they talk about a lot of this stuff. They were speculating that if they keep delivering WrestleManias such as this, which dubiously are up there with some of the worst, that the fans just aren't going to pay for that. And when you promise The Rock and you don't deliver The Rock, it sends a bad message.
Why would they believe you next year? What's next year? They can promise Steve Austin he's not going to show up? Steve Austin comes out, runs into the wall, knocks some woman over.
Some woman looking to get a payout there, obviously.
She very well may.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But as far as WrestleManias go, I'm not going to put it anywhere near the top of the list. That was not good. I don't think it was. And even, you did it in Vegas, which is not a fan-friendly town to get around in. You're going to walk everywhere. The place sucks. Right? It's not a big city. Everybody thinks it's not. It's like one big street. And it was crowded. It was long walks. It was long lines. I know there was fights and chaos, and people were mad leaving. It just was not a good venue. New Orleans next year, they better pull out all stops. But looking at the generation of Hunter's pushing, these kids are bad. They're not entertaining. 100 miles an hour. And that's what happened. Was Sami Zayn even on the show?
You know what? I can't even remember. I can't even remember, but Acers will probably let us know. I don't think he was.
What did I go? I think my spoilers were all correct, right?
Yeah. Didn't you pick Dominic to win the title? And he sure did. I never thought they'd go there in a million years. Speaking of a guy that needs to get on the gas, holy cow!
I don't know if he needs to, man. He is so over just being that skinny kid with long hair. It's tremendous. I got to give him credit. How old is he? He's in his mid-20s, right?
I think he's about 25, 26. And
he's married for 5 years. He's a good guy.
He's a young kid, and he's got an entertaining character. But my goodness, I don't know. He doesn't look like he puts a lot of. Maybe he does a lot of cardio. Who knows? But
yeah, but I honestly, he had the most heat of anybody, and then that pop that he got when he won was huge. And he was the only one that was leaving that match getting a bump. Anyone else had won, it wouldn't have mattered. Him getting it would have been special. Same with Io Sky. I call Io Sky as retaining, and because it didn't make sense for the other two, they're not going to get a bump. But now the big push.
What did you make of the main event with of night one with the Walrus screwing CM Punk and Roman Reigns?
Another spoiler I called, and it's actually a really good match. It was really good. Those three are really good. And Heyman, we know how good he is. I thought it was great. It was kind of predictable at the end, but that was okay. It was entertaining. Far better than night two's main event. It was exciting, and it kept going, and it had a lot of action, and it made sense. It was a good story. And how good is Roman Reigns? I don't think Roman Reigns gets the credit for selling as good as he does. They think he just goes, he is really good.
And what shape is he in now?
Oh, yeah. Where'd that come from?
My God.
I wonder what caused that, Jack.
Florida water B12.
Florida water. He lives in the Panhandle, so it's the water up there in the Panhandle.
I thought one. This is I guess a nitpicky kind of thing, but those guys beat the crap out of each other for how long? They hit multiple finishers, and to fall both CM Punk and Roman Reigns, it just took a mighty nut shot from a 16-year-old or 60-year-old rotund individual, and they sold that like they were shot. Did they not?
Yeah, they did, especially Punk.
On the mat for what, 10 minutes?
It was so predictable, and I was so good. And the only thing I can criticize is Paul. I think he was standing too close to Roman when he went for it. He should have stepped back a little bit. But other than that, Paul's a genius. He really is. He was doing it.
Well, he's a genius, but he certainly did Todd Gordon wrong, a man that I've interviewed several times and looking forward to. He's going to be in Philly where we are on Saturday for the big WrestleCon and Fan Fest starting at 12 o'clock to 3:30, and then the big one and done show coming up at 7 o'clock. And amongst, man, you could go through the talent there at the WrestleCon and on the show. It's going to be a history-making event. And all I can say is I've got a couple of surprises up my sleeve for Chubby Dudley. It's going to be definitely a night that he's not ever going to forget. You're going to be there. Are you looking forward to it, sir?
I can't wait. I am looking very forward to that arena. And, that arena probably means a little more to me than some of the other guys there because I've never worked in that arena, which is odd to say from up there, but I've never worked in that arena. When Steve Carino and Simon Diamond and my friends all went there, I talked to Stevie Richards about going. I talked to the Dudleys about going, and I was going to go, leave WWE and do it. But they all talked me out of it. I never went. And then Steve went on, of course, to have an unbelievable career, become ECW champion and whatnot. So who knows what would have happened? But I'm looking forward to being in there in any capacity.
It's it's over a year in the making, and I know Chubby Dudley has not exactly been forthright in a lot of ways and is dealing with me for our match. But man, he has really, really put in a lot of time and effort into that show, as did. Has Joel Goodhart on the WrestleCon, and it's going to be one that the independent wrestling event definitely of 2025. Those tickets, if you're watching on April 30th, are available at 2300arena.com. Get them now. The lineups are going to be huge on the corner of Swanson and Rittner. One of the highlights of WrestleMania, though, was Joe Hendry's appearance against Randy Orton. Is surprised. I know Joe Hendry is a favorite of Morris, and recently got a question in on a press conference with him. Seems like a really, really nice guy. I looked at that and thought, wow, that guy's being, really elevated in a WrestleMania moment. He didn't get squashed by Orton, but Orton did his thing, and I was really surprised to read some of the pundits were saying that he got buried. What do you make of that?
I love these pundits that have never wrestled a match in their life. Meltzer, what did he give it? 2 stars? Was he good enough for Meltzer?
I'm not sure if it was him, but I think it was the predictably from the Fightful crew that I really don't have much respect for, but there was a lot of he got buried, and Hendry said, well, it was if this WrestleMania appearance and moment was getting buried, then I'll take it, type of thing.
First off, getting buried at WrestleMania, it's like marrying the second ugliest girl in the world. What are you talking about? Give me a break. I'm the second richest man behind Elon Musk. Right? What are you talking about? Those guys all paid thousands of dollars to go to WrestleMania. Joe Hendry got paid thousands of dollars to be in WrestleMania. How do you criticize the guy? And that place erupted when his song hit. I mean, it was like Cena walked in 2010. So how many more downloads of that song did they get this week?
Mm-hmm.
Joe Hendry, he's been working for a long time, Joe Hendry, 13 years or something?
Yes.
Out. I know that feeling. So AJ Styles, right? So he absolutely deserved it. He did not get buried at all. He had a lot of offense, and he took an RKO. So was Brock Lesnar. So was John Cena. So was The Rock. He didn't get beat any other way the other guys have it. He did a great job. I'm proud of him.
And he popped up this past week, I think it was last night on NXT, and he's in a featured position there. So I would vehemently disagree. I think he's going to be a big deal there in the company. He's got the personality, he can work, and definitely has all the tools, as they say. Interesting. You mentioned AJ Styles. That match against Paul was one of the ones that kind of got a lukewarm at best reaction, and the end saw Karrion Kross come out with a pair of brass knucks, give them to AJ, try to encourage him to use them. Of course, he didn't, and then he got beat. Karrion Kross then a day or so later cut a promo that went viral. Did you see it?
I saw parts of it. I didn't see the whole thing.
He went on to say he used some salty language and went on to say that AJ failed. How many WrestleManias does he have left? Buried the office sort of in terms of he being from Vegas and not getting a shot. So a lot of fans were of the view that this was like a straight shoot kind of thing. It came out that of course he had to run it by some people, but I think the takeaway from this promo is, man, that guy is being absolutely misused. They can't seem to find a spot for him to make it work. And I mean, he's big, he's mean looking, he can work well, and he can talk, and he's got Scarlett Bordeaux as part of the package. What are they doing to not get him over in any sort of capacity? I just don't understand.
He's very reminiscent of Sean O'Hare's old character. Very reminiscent. And Sean O'Hare didn't get it over either. I don't care how big Sean O'Hare was. Said he was fucking big. But it's not a charismatic look. He's actually a charismatic guy, but they won't let him do it. He was very over as Killer Kross in NXT. And they brought him up here and trying this. He's like a cult leader. Is that the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You already had Bray Wyatt, which the greatest character next to Undertaker of all time, and he was turning people from heel to face just by working them. So I don't see how Killer Kross can pull that off. I think he's got to be repackaged and just let him be himself, man. If he wants to cut promos like he did the other night, that'll get him over. If they let him, he'll get over like gangbusters. That's what they got to do.
Well, he's got the other thing about him is he's got a good, sense of humor too. It boggles the mind how a guy like that it can't seem to find his footing there. It's got to. I would say he was pretty over in NXT when he was the champion, but it certainly hasn't translated to the main roster, and they need guys like him. Let's face it.
He was a murderer down there. He was just running through people.
Yeah.
He was great. He was like a better Braun Breaker. But no, they switched it up. He still had the entrance with Scarlett Bordeaux is great. The TikTok thing is stupid because I don't know whatever never leads anywhere. And he needs to move on from that. And they got to let him cut a promo and actually use his personality. I mean, he's a good-looking guy. He's a big dude, good-looking guy. Girls like him. Show it off. They always want him as a heel. He's always got guys with him. Doesn't need anybody with him.
No. Well, hopefully this they'll see something that this took off, because I'm sure it wasn't the office didn't think, oh my God, this is going to go viral, but it certainly did, which if you watch it, you can see why it captured the fans' interest. Let's talk about this this TNA Rebellion spot disaster. Do you want to set the table for this with
how many times I saw the clip and I would have bet money it was AEW. And when I saw it was TNA, how high was that pole?
They say I guess 15 feet high over.
And he's standing on he's 20 feet in the air. Swanton onto the guys that are going to catch you and take care of you. I got you, brother. Don't worry, I got you. It'll be great. Not one. And listen, I told you before. If I'm on the floor, I'm telling the guy, I'm not catching you. Don't do the spot. I'm moving. I guarantee those guys told him, we got you. Don't worry about it. Except for Zack Ryder. I think Zack Ryder is right. The only one is like, yeah, I'm going to the right here.
Mm-hmm.
But the other guys, as soon as he hit the ground, you watch them all roll over and start apologizing to him. Disgraceful. Disgraceful. That kid, and he wanted the big pop. That was his WrestleMania moment. He's lucky he's not dead.
Yeah. I mean, 20 feet in the air. They clearly powdered when he came down. Leon Slater's his name. And I'm amazed that he apparently got up and walked it off.
Unbelievable. He's lucky he wasn't a big guy. If he was a bigger guy, he would have broke all his ribs. But shame on Tommy Dreamer for even allowing that to happen. And he's the king of hardcore. He wouldn't fucking do it. He would have laughed at that spot. So I don't even know if Dreamer knew it was going to happen. But if he did, and I love Dreamer, but dude, what are you doing? The shock value, it wasn't there. If he landed on them all, it was stupid because they're all. How many minutes were they all standing there in a pile?
I can't stand that. That takes me right out of a match to watch them.
It kills the whole match. They're all, oh, he's going to jump on him. You know, shit. The best part was he moved. Maybe that was the rib.
Welcome to the business, sunshine.
Maybe Dreamer told him all to move. I don't know. Move.
Ricky Morton.
He'll get 1 million views.
Yeah, no kidding. If he dies, as sick as that is.
Listen, if they moved, and no one told them to move, right? I'd fire every one of them. If they told me to get there and catch them, they all moved, I'd fire every one of them.
Yeah, don't say you're going to be there and then not.
Nope. Done. Get out.
Ricky Morton said on X, quote, "I'm disappointed Leon gave you his trust and his body on the line for an amazing moment, and all of you dropped him. Thank God he walked away. In our business, trust is everything, and his trust may never be the same."
Ricky Morton's right. Ricky Morton's a smart man. He's been doing this a long, long time. And let me tell you something. You want to talk about how to get over and get heat? Go watch some of their matches back in the day with Cornette's against them and the Midnight Express. They're not diving off the top under their heads. You don't need to go 15 feet in the air. It's just idiotic. Idiotic. I can't believe they did it. But he's right.
I think they need to really take a look at those spots in general, because it's a law of diminishing returns. It's been done so many times, and it just looks faker than all outdoors while they're standing around waiting. It's ridiculous.
Go watch the original TLC matches with the Dudleys, Christian and Edge. They weren't standing around waiting. How bad? Let's touch on that. Remember the original Edge spearing Jeff Hardy spot off the right? Did you see them try and recreate that on SmackDown last week?
No, I must have missed that. With
the fat one of the Street Profits? So the fat one goes up to the top of the ladder to spear, what was it, Capasso Ciampa off the frickin' out of the air. Same spot. It was the worst, slowest moving mess. The fat guy barely got off the ladder. And it was embarrassing, to say the least. Embarrassing. I don't know where the athletes went, but if you're going to send someone to the top of the ladder, send the other kid for the Street Profits that actually works out. Ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the law of diminishing returns. Everybody's seen these sort of spots so many times. It barely gets a pop. I really don't see any value in continuing, especially something like this, 20 feet in the air. The guy could die and break his neck. That's not cool. Nobody wants to see that.
For what? How many fans are in attendance at TNA?
I think they got they packed the rafters with like 1,200. I think.
Maybe 1,200 people. So, and how many of them went ooh ah?
Yeah, not many.
Suspend disbelief. He's going to dive on.
Yeah. I think the crowd made some noise when he went splat, but I don't think that was the intended consequence.
No, and all the guys, I got you, brother. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's
sorry.
Are
you okay?
Yeah, here's a niacin or something. Walk it off. Yeah, incredible. Have you heard about the new information in this never ending, it seems, Ring Boy lawsuit? They've got some new plaintiffs that have joined the lawsuit. They're all called John Doe, apparently, and they're basically alleging that the McMahons neglected and failed to protect them from sexual abuse at the hands of not only Mel Phillips, but also Pat Patterson's name has come up now, and Terry Garvin, of course. But the essential flavor of it is Patterson was involved with, basically putting careers in his hands in exchange for sexual favors. Some of these ring boys at the time, this is a really interesting part. If you take it, well, not interesting, it's gross, but we're talking 11, 12, 13-year-old boys on the bloody ring crew. You know how heavy a ring is, the poles. So you're going to try and say that you had kids that small and young putting up rings. It reeks. But then this is something I wanted to read to you. Throughout the accounts, several WWE executives and non-executive employees are described as having direct knowledge of Phillips and Garvin's behavior in relation to younger boys, including Vince and Linda, Ed Helsinki, Don Morocco, Marty Jannetty, Kurt Hennig, Jimmy Hart, Bobby Heenan, Paul Bearer, and they're even alleging that Coco Beware, the Birdman, in front of an audience in the dressing room, patted down one of the ring boys and grabbed his package. What do you make of all this disgusting filth? It seems to never reach a conclusion. A lot of them are dead. Some of them are not. Coco Beware is still alive. I guess he made no comment as of yet.
First off, if true, my heart goes out to these guys because that's disgraceful. Let's touch on Pat Patterson first. And I'm going to tell you a story about Barry O. Do you remember Barry O?
Absolutely. He was a great talent.
Barry O was a tremendous talent, up and coming. And guess why he suddenly disappeared off TV?
He didn't want to do the go behind and reach around?
He wouldn't do the reach around with Pat Patterson. And all of a sudden, he's gone. Now, I believe he filed a lawsuit later on or tried to press charges. We can look that up later on. This wasn't uncommon, my understanding, for Pat Patterson. I can tell you this. I have not had 2 words ever with Pat Patterson because he's disgusting and I didn't like him from Jump Street. And they all bent over, oh, he's the greatest. He gets great finishes. Yeah, on your face. Fuck you. You're a piece of shit. From the minute I met the scumbag, I knew what he was. And I won't say a bad word about Brooklyn Brawler. He was always a gentleman, but they hung out a lot. So kind of maybe they all knew. I find it highly unlikely that Kurt Hennig was condoning pedophilia and child molestation. I don't think Marty Jannetty would. They're going to throw names out just to throw names out. Coco Beware, I know Coco Beware pretty well. He's a bit of a river. Was he fucking playing around with a kid one day, just joking around with him, and now it's being exaggerated? Probably. You know what I mean? It's just stupid. But Patterson, there's a history there.
And a lot of people point out, well, Patterson had shade thrown on him because, of his alternative lifestyle. And I think that's a convenient excuse because I don't think anybody really cared that he was gay, and they knew that he had a husband or whatever. And they also point to the fact that if he had the shade put on him, blah, 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 he was not really let go, but let go for a few months, then brought back. So that means that he was, innocent of anything. But from what other wrestlers have said, including way back when Jimmy Powers, in a famous shoot interview, indicated that he was told that he was going to get a big push, no pun intended or whatnot. and all he'd have to do would be to sit back and allow Mr. Patterson allegedly to perform a sex act on him. It's kind of a head scratcher that he's always been on the periphery of this, and up until now, really hasn't faced a direct accusation.
You know, I never got a push. You leave me out of that conversation. Dude, the guy gave me the creeps. He really did, from Jump Street, Patterson. Never, ever had any respect for him. I never thought he was anything. They all kissed his ass. I don't know why. Vince loved them for whatever reason. But the other side I see here, what took these guys so long to come out with this? With their case? You ever notice it's always 4 decades later?
Yeah, it was the change in the legislation apparently that allows them to come forward with such information at a later time.
They could say it, but you would at least say it and put it out there, wouldn't you? When you try to press charges, I mean, you try to do something. You know, I don't know. All I know is when I was there, I didn't see any of that. I didn't hang out with the weirdos. I hung out with the non-weirdo group. All the bullies that everybody hated. I hung out with the bullies that apparently are still there and cool as shit. So apparently the wimpy ones were, some of them were molesting children and, you know, fondling each other.
Well, to me, it's you know, it's a matter that you know, you hate to. Phillips is dead, Garvin's dead, Patterson's dead. It's hard to, you know, take a look at these things when a lot of the principals are dead. But you know, hopefully one day this can finally be put to rest, because it continues to go on. And I don't think, like you just said, in your era even, that this is the rampant problem that it was back in the day. But I will say this: if I was Vince McMahon, and apparently this Patterson's behavior extends back to Vince Senior's.
Oh yeah, he either had an ironclad contract with the McMahons. But why was, after the Barry O incident, he should have been fired?
Why would you, as
Jim Cornette slapped Santino Marella, and Santino Marella got a multi-million-dollar contract, and Jim Cornette was fired within hours.
Yeah,
this dude's molesting kids, and you keep him.
I just think if I was in a management position there and they had a ring crew, I mean, all the shows that I've done, you've been involved in, who puts up the ring? Wrestlers that want to get booked. I think if they've got a ring crew made up of babies, that would raise a few eyebrows, but apparently it didn't.
It's saying 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds. It's crazy. Where were their parents at? Right.
Yeah.
The parts of the story don't make sense.
Good question. It's all very disturbing. I just hope that
10-year-olds are on tour.
Well, I think when they went to the way I remember Phillips, especially, he'd have kids in the towns on the loop, and he'd contact them and say, you know, come down and you know, you can help out, whatever, blah blah blah, and in return he did what he did. But yeah, hopefully this is eventually put to rest. And those
are they suing WWE? Who are they suing?
Yeah, it's a civil action against a number of named plaintiffs. Defendants.
Let's go.
Lawsuit against WWE, Vince McMahon, and Linda McMahon. At the end of the final analysis, they're arguing that it was argued that the McMahons in particular had acted in ill will to conceal the behavior of Phillips, Garvin, Patterson, and others towards the Ring Boys, with every effort made to protect the WWE business from scandal, even if it meant concealing malpractice.
If true, disgusting, but what's the other ulterior motive? Why would you out of the blue now attack Linda McMahon? What is Linda McMahon doing right now that crazy lying lefties would attack her for? Right?
Yeah.
Right. Letitia, what was it? Trump, the 25 years ago at a department store. I don't know what time it was. I don't know what day. I don't know what year it was. But he touched me inappropriately. Arrest him. Kind of sounds a little the same. They're trying to set her up to. Linda McMahon.
Several possible motives of which that can definitely be one. Did you catch another big return? Rusev, the former Miro, returned to WWE programming. Some people have kind of crapped on him being reintroduced the way that he did, but it reminded me a lot of Scott Steiner's debut in MSG years ago when he came in and destroyed Matt Hardy and another fella. This time Rusev came out and pretty much kicked butt on Otis and Tozawa and kind of set himself up as the monster heel that he should have been booked as. In my opinion, when he came into AEW in 2019, they shouldn't have had him wearing a pink shirt and being a best man or whatever the heck that deal was, and it would have presented him this way.
He should always ride in on the tank. It's the greatest one of the greatest entrances in WrestleMania history.
Yes.
But they, I don't know why they got rid of him in the first place. If you ever met him, he's a hell of a good guy. He's a big son of a bitch, and he can work. I thought it was great that he's back. I'm proud of him. He's a nice guy. He's part of the Billy Fives clique down here, and I know they talk all the time. And hey, good. And they need some monsters there, some veterans that can work. So I think he'll do a lot of good things there for the younger guys.
Yeah, it would be nice if they really put him in a proper spot and used him to his full potential, because I know AEW didn't. Last year I went to 3 AEW shows to cover them for the channel, and he was advertised on all of them and was not there.
Crazy. Bait and switched you.
Bait and switch. Always a fan, and I was glad to see him being re-signed. Apparently they've signed his wife again, I guess the way to put it, Lana, to a Legends deal. I haven't heard anything about her coming back to TV.
A Legends deal.
Yeah.
She was there for like 2 years.
Yeah. And was put through a table every week for 3 months before she left last time.
Where's my Legends deal?
It's coming. It's in the mail. The Brawler's
the greatest enhancement talent in the history of fucking the Attitude Era.
There you go. Maybe there'll be a Hall of Fame spot for you soon.
Maybe. They should, right? Now they got it for the matches. They should have it for the extras.
Just don't start it at 10 o'clock Pacific time, because if you watched it live, it was over at 3 a.m. Eastern, or 4 a.m.
They only ever gave me 4 or 5 minutes with entrances. I'll be quick.
There you go. just thank who you need to thank. And
go fuck yourselves. I'm going to go back to Florida.
Not to deviate, but did you watch later or catch any of Triple H's? He thanked
I haven't watched
under the sun.
One moment of it. I had a feeling it was going to drag on for hours. The Undertaker's was magnificent. Shawn Michaels was good. The Rock was good. Steve Austin was good. I just had a feeling that Hunter was going to go on and on and on. How long was it? Was it an hour or something, the speech?
Over an hour, apparently, like an hour and 10 minutes.
Come on. Too much. It was even the way they set it up, like Undertaker and Shawn are putting you. What are you talking about? You're the CFO of a freaking company.
Yeah.
You want to put yourself into it.
Surprise?
Huh?
You mean the surprise that he was getting inducted?
Yes, it was a big surprise. He had no idea. Yeah. I'm just as shocked as you are. Aren't you the producer? Yeah.
Come on. I haven't watched the whole thing. I watched clips, but I remember people in the audience were visibly falling asleep.
How could you not? Paul London was just saying that. He was on another podcast saying that it was the most dreadful time of the year is having to sit through that thing. Listen to these stories. Terrible. Yeah, I didn't watch 1 minute of it.
I think for the Hall of Fame, what they need to do is get off their wallets and in Vegas or wherever, construct an act, or maybe Saudi Arabia. I've heard that too. construct an actual bricks and mortar Hall of Fame and, have some tangible displays that the fans can see with the video highlights and whatnot, because this seems to me to be, a rather limited utility. You get a plaque and you get your speech and then that's it. I know some people argue that, but I can't understand why they haven't done a physical Hall of Fame. And now with the new entity in Vegas, it would seem that would fit in there like an attraction, like a glove.
Because they would make the Hall of Fame and there would just be a t-shirt shop where that's all it would wind up being. And who's going to pay for it? It's not going to make any money. It's a loss leader, so TKO's not paying for it unless it's producing revenue.
Mm-hmm. You don't think a Hall of Fame would sell tickets?
No. I mean, who would go? You're going to fly to Vegas just to go look at a bunch of plaques of Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan with the internet?
And memorabilia? No?
No, I don't think so. I think it'd be a dud. I mean, I respect that they would want to have it. Like NASCAR has one, right? No one goes.
Oh, they don't? Really?
Maybe if you live local to it, you might walk by it. But once you're there once, are you ever going again? The Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., right? There's like 9 buildings. They're freaking empty, man. You walk through there, there's nobody in this place. There's a freaking spaceship in there people don't want to look at. They're sitting there looking at a plaque of Triple H.
True. I don't know. Cooperstown draws, and up here in Canada, the Hockey Hall of Fame draws. So I guess it just depends on the sport.
It's hockey. There's only 50 million of you guys up there. You all live right next to each other.
And we're still the best at it too. Throw that in there. That's about all we have.
Are pretty darn good at it.
That's what we're clinging to at this moment. And the final story, this came out a couple of days ago. WWE Hall of Famers Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan dropped a video. It was very NWO-esque. It was black and white. They're teasing a new collaboration, saying we're back. They did a lot of NWO style stuff. They were talking about how much they loved each other. They're back better than ever before, teasing that they again had some kind of collaboration. He said, but we've been so hard. We changed the world one time, but now we're here to wake them up. We're here to slice and dice the world of wrestling, and you're not going to know what hit you. Hogan suggested that, it was Bischoff who said, stay tuned, and added that a third man, the good old third man, will be joining their project. What do you make of this? Do you think it's Vince?
Okay. It is not Vince. It is not even a professional wrestling company. It is a freestyle wrestling company, and it's a shoot, is what it is. And the third man is, oh God, what's his darn name? Some Russian wrestler. It's not professional wrestling. It's a freestyle wrestling. It's supposed to be a full-on shoot. You win money for pinning them. You win money for making them bleed, whatever the hell it is. But it is not a professional wrestling company.
Well, that's interesting because the great Jake Shannon has a company that does just that now, Shoot Pro. It's called. He does it with the King of Connecticut, my former broadcast partner, and Larry Zbyszko does color commentary for that. I'm not sure how they're doing, but it would be a weird pairing to have Hogan and Bischoff involved in that. No.
I don't know how this is going to. I don't know what the point of it is. I don't know if it's collegiate, if it's UFC style. I don't know what the rules are of this. I assume it's a shoot and you can't throw punches. I don't know, but I can't see it being very exciting after a while. I'm sure Hogan, whoever is paying for it, thought giving Hogan and Bishop a bunch of money was a good idea. I'm not seeing it on this one, and I'm all about revenue. I'm not seeing it, but that's what it's going to be.
So you don't see a chance of at all of this being the big reveal of Vince McMahon's new company and their.
I don't think so. No. I can't. I couldn't fathom him being involved in that one. I'd be very surprised if he went into business with Eric Bischoff.
True.
Right?
True.
It wouldn't make sense to me. Vince isn't going to answer anybody.
It would. I think it would be from what I know of the Shoot Pro, they present it in a professional wrestling style manner, but every bit of action inside is allegedly a shoot, and the outcome is not predetermined.
That's my understanding. So it's not predetermined. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know when it's starting. I guess they're looking for guys now to join. So they're out actively recruiting former UFC fighters and whatnot for this. So we'll see what they come up with. But listen, I hope they make some money. I hope it's good for everybody involved.
But yeah, it's a concept, like I said, that's been around for a number of years. I know Jake Shannon again had this in his back pocket for years, just looking for the right backing. We'll have to see. I can't really see if it's a total shoot on national television at doing that well in terms of ratings.
There you go. People don't watch television anymore anyway. It's very tough to get ratings. That's why they're always comparing WWE now to the Attitude Era. There's a lot more to do. There's a lot more to watch. You can watch it later on. You don't remember when Monday Night Raw was like you couldn't miss Monday Night. It was that Monday Night Football.
Yeah,
that's all you had. Now it's freaking streaming everywhere. You can watch everything, and people aren't even watching that as much.
No, there's too many choices. I think as the kids these days, how they operate, they watch bits and bytes, little tiny portions of videos and move. Well, TikTok, prime example, right?
I think most people pick a TV show and binge watch it over and over again. I've probably seen Breaking Bad from beginning to end 100 times.
Oh, that's a good one. Kind of like The Sopranos. I've watched 3 times.
I've never watched The Sopranos.
Oh, you should.
I've never even seen one episode of it.
It is not overrated. Do yourself a favor and check it out. It's one of the all-time greats for sure.
I'll start binge watching The Sopranos then.
Right on. Well, we've come to the end of another hour. I'm going to see you on the weekend. We're looking for a monumental weekend. We're going to take some video do some stand-up interviews during the WrestleCon, and we will be eventually airing our match that Hannibal and my match against Super Crazy or however it shakes out. So it's going to be a big weekend. Do you have anybody you're looking forward to catching up with again in the ECW arena? I gotta be honest. I'm a big Tully Blanchard mark. Ric Flair as well, but Tully Blanchard I've never met in person, and of course the great underappreciated, but now since he's dropped his book, I think he's getting some of his due, and that would be Todd Gordon. But who are you looking forward to catching up with or meeting, etc.?
Always a pleasure to see Glenn Osborne. Todd Gordon, he's a good guy. Met him quite a few times. He's a nice guy. I'm looking forward to seeing Tessa Blanchard. I've never met her, but I'm a fan. I like her. So I'm looking forward to seeing her, and I'm sure there's a million other guys up there I'm looking forward to. My old stomping ground.
In addition to that, I mean, I've followed the work and interviewed many times those early Philly TW guy, Eastern Championship Wrestling talent. I'm talking about Tony Hitman, Stetson, Johnny Hotbody, a lot of really, really nice guys that I'm glad that as part of the show, the banner is coming down with a number of the legends, including DC Great, the late Larry Winters, Joel Goodhart, Hotbody, and Stetson. I think that probably will be one of the highlights, that their contribution to not only Eastern, but ECW, the Attitude Era, all the money that's been made off the Philly style. I think they're finally going to get that, and they're really deserving. So it's gonna be a great great. It's going to be a long day, but it's going to be a great day.
It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Where can the folks keep up with all of the Big Bad Wolf's comings and goings on social media again?
Get me on TikTok at Ryder Big Bad Wolf. You can get me on Instagram at Ryder Infante. Or you can get me here every 6 days, 8 days, whatever we decide to get together.
Well, we're going to be doing more regular shows moving forward, starting with next week. We'll do a wrap up of everything TWA One and Done. And fans, once again, if you haven't already, get those tickets at 2300arena.com for the WrestleCon and also for the show itself. And hopefully we'll see you there and get a chance to meet some of our great Cheap Heat subscribers. And if you haven't already, for sure, hit subscribe and like this video. We will see you next time. Take care, everybody.